All right, I am here with Caleb Wardlow, a Pinckney High School junior. He is a football player, a wide receiver slash athlete, and just to run through some of Caleb's accolades here, he is a uh, well, let's see here. He's first of all, let me just point this out. Smart kid, GPA of 3.5, very important to get to the next level. Um, he is a two-time All SEC player, two-time All County player, and an All-State honorable mention. Which I'm sure, as a junior, your goal probably is to make that not so honorable mention next year, right? So, Caleb, how's it going?
Going good, Mr. Lloyd. How are you?
I'm doing well. I a little bit bummed that it's been a couple weeks since I did my last episode of a podcast, but life gets in the way, as I'm sure you know, being in a busy situation right now in high school. So let's just jump right in. That's kind of what we do here. So, Caleb, can you just tell me? Obviously, you're a football prospect. Your goal is to play college football. What is your like overall goal? Is there like a level that you're gunning for specifically? Have you narrowed anything down, or are you just the sky's the limit?
D1. I want to go D1. That's no question. That's my ultimate goal. But no matter what, always in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe if I don't go D1, there's always an opportunity to play at the next level. D2, D3, that's always an opportunity to go be better, do better, and play in college. And that's what I want to do is play in college.
So, uh, kind of a stereotypical question. So what are you doing right now to achieve, said goal?
I'm working every single day. I'm trying to get in the weight room. The weight room is biggest thing overall for athletes, wide receivers like me. They got to be big. Measurables are everything when it comes to recruiting: height, weight, size, and your stats. Like that's about everything. And as of right now, I'm doing 7-on-7s, which are a necessity when it comes to recruiting. I mean, those are a big part of it. Like I said, the weight room, working out with the football team, and just getting ready for the season. So
Yeah. So speaking to that 7-on-7, because I think and I could be totally mistaken. I mean, I played AAU basketball all year. Well, not all year round, but I played basketball all year round. And now I've seen it get more into that like all year round mentality where, you know, it's almost like to me, the AAU league of football. Is that like an adequate assessment of it?
yeah, it's basically the AAU of football. It's like during the off season, you get all the best players around in Michigan, gather them all up, and go and compete in tournaments. I mean, that's about it, and it's usually all the best players you can gather on your team. So
Now, is it like I see a lot of it being more so maybe of the glamorous positions? Is there like a lineman aspect to it and, you know, linebackers, if you will, or is it mostly like quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, DBs?
so with 7-on-7, there are linebackers, and the linebackers and that play on my team, they work really hard, and they translate whatever they work on from the 7-on-7, and they really focus on what they need to work on throughout them playing in the regular season and regular tackle football season. So linemen, they don't do anything usually when the wide receivers and quarterbacks do 7-on-7, but I'd say mostly it benefits the wide receivers and the QBs for sure.
Gotcha. I mean, I definitely would think just from an outside perspective looking in, that would definitely be something if you're not already involved in, like it's absolutely a necessity. Is that something that like have college coaches specifically reached out to you, would you say, because of those 7-on-7 leagues?
Oh, for sure. That the exposure throughout the 7-on-7 is one of the best things because I come from Pinckney, and like it's a pretty small town. Um, you see the same people at the same football games every Friday night. You
Right.
know, getting exposure from the 7-on-7 league, it it furthers out your exposure. I'd say that a lot of scouts go to that wouldn't go to the Pinckney football high school game. You know what I mean? So I go to the Legacy Center and I play just about every weekend.
Right.
And there can be 2 weeks ago, I swear there was Georgia there,
Oh wow.
Miami, big schools.
Yeah, that's real deal football right there. Real deal
Oh
Division
yeah,
One.
And
Now,
I
have
like
have they specifically told you? Because I know you mentioned the weight room. Like when you're talking to them, are they specifically saying, for you maybe personally, are you is it a big focus? They're like, you got to get in the weight room, just get huge. Is that the focus?
it. That's the biggest focus I'd say probably throughout the off season. Get in the weight room, get bigger, gain more weight.
What other things like have what are some really common themes maybe besides, the weight room have college coaches or recruiters obviously, what have they been hammering home with you that you've been really focusing on?
School, all school. I've had a lot of Ivy League coaches reach out, and that's all school. Their biggest focus is your GPA. Make sure your GPA is high, your SAT is high, and your test scores are all good because you it's it's all grades when it comes to Ivy League.
Is
And
that can they offer athletic scholarships, or is Ivy League strictly academic? I mean, I know that they probably work some things out to make it so that your football and basketball, whatever sport players are
yeah,
getting money, but
I believe I believe it's strictly academics, but I know that they do work some athletic scholarships out as well.
yeah, from my understanding, it's similar to the Division 3 level where it's like, hey, we can't say we're giving you athletic money, but we're giving you money because we want you to play sports here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that being said, the grades definitely do have to come with that. So, um, moving on here, what have you found in your recruit? Like, what have you personally done that you have found to be the most effective thing? Like, what would you attribute maybe to the most success that you've had so far with recruiting?
With recruiting, I'd say social media. A lot of social media really helps recruiting. It like Twitter is probably the biggest thing. Um, and even like talking to my high school coaches, like talking to Coach B and talking to Coach Patton, and they help a lot with recruiting. They get my name out there. They email coaches. They talk to college coaches.
That's
But
very
I'd say Twitter is probably the biggest.
Now, when utilizing Twitter, is it you specifically reaching out, DMing coaches or because you know we've followed each other since probably the end of your JV basketball season last year,
Yeah,
and I see, often, whenever a coach is saying, whatever position, drop your information.
yeah,
Would you specifically say that they're looking at that and they're reaching out to you based on that stuff? Because it always to me seemed like that wasn't that it was just such a big net that they were throwing out there, right? It's so general, but have they really reached out to you because of that
yeah.
specific stuff?
I mean, a few coaches have. Usually, it comes from them like seeing me at showcases, legacy showcases, or the 7-on-7s, but they'll usually say, "Hey, we're looking for some guys. Drop your film." So I usually drop all my film that I can to every single coach, and some of them will reply. They'll like my tweet, and then they'll reach out to me saying, "Hey, what's up? I like your film. Maybe we can go through like a few things. Maybe you can get me to a game this season. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah blah."
cool.
But
What would you say the percentages of when you do that, do they actually get back to you? If you send out 10, how many are coming back to you?
I'd probably say like 25%.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, though, any percentage is good percentage, right? You'll take what
Yeah,
you can get for sure. Because
yeah,
I mean, just you can watch like the Last Chance U stuff on Netflix, and you realize like, holy cow, like
yeah.
football is a dog eat dog world with getting recruited, man. Like
Oh
people
yeah,
are, it's out for blood for sure, and similar with basketball for sure. But um, so it is interesting to me though that Twitter is such a utilized, at least for you specifically. Just I would have thought maybe it would come more from because I mean, my story is more so like me just sending. I wasn't on Twitter until I was like out of college, but
yeah.
I was, it was all me just reaching out to people. Have you specifically reached out to coaches, like finding their email addresses on like roster sheets and sending them your stuff individually?
Yes, I've done that with a lot of my schools that I personally want to go to.
Yeah.
It's like my dream schools to play football at. I've done. but just a few other outsiders, like outside schools that I've heard have like good athletic programs that I just want to see and get more information about. So
Yeah, I think like, and how cookie cutter would you say your email is? I mean, you're really personalizing it for that specific coach, or what is your process to like reaching out specifically?
so I like with my dream schools, I usually hear information about the school personally from either coaches or fellow teammates, and it's all good stuff. And whenever I hear a good, like something good about that college, I usually reach out personally to them,
Yeah.
um, through email. So
And you would say, would you still say that from a, just if you want to get analytical, like from a percentage standpoint, would you still say that Twitter is like the most effective response rate that you get?
I'd say emailing would probably be higher than going on like Twitter and commenting your highlight films and all your accolades and everything. I'd say if you personally email a coach telling them about yourself and what you want to do at the next level, I think you would get more responses. And I think I personally have gotten a few more responses than Twitter itself from emails. So
Well, cool. I think that'll be a common theme that I find. I mean, obviously, I've only talked to, a few people now about the recruiting process, but it does seem like there's some significant overlap with um, personalized emails being a thing that people should definitely be utilizing. But I think it is interesting to utilize that Twitter aspect, just because I even mentioned it in my last episode here that like it almost seemed a bit more like clout chasing to me with some of these coaches like dropping this stuff just so that they could get tons of responses. But it is very cool to me that they actually are, and I'd be surprised if it was mostly clout chasing. I would say that's probably the vast minority.
yeah.
But so all right, so tell me about some of your recruiting successes so far. What have you thought is like, oh yes, like now like I'm in the door, or like what have you found to be most successful is from a story perspective? What can you tell me?
I mean, it's the best feeling when a college coach reaches out. I think that's probably the most success, like where I'm at right now. I mean, um, getting a phone call from a coach telling me that they're interested in me. Hey, you can play ball with us. Like when you're a senior, man, we want to see that film. We want to
Yeah.
get you here. We want you here in the summer. We want to bring you out to a game. Like I get a call from Wayne State's coach. Me and him have a really, really good connection.
Cool.
Just about every single week he calls me, and it makes me like, it brings happiness to me because it's like a
Oh
relief.
yeah.
You know, it's
Right.
it's
Well,
like,
you put all that work in, right? And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, now it's paying off. I mean, so when you and it kind of leads into my next question. I'll ask the question first and then I'll ask you this. But what have you had any recruiting failures that you maybe wouldn't mind sharing? Anything that you maybe could, maybe not a failure is kind of a harsh word, but any what's the word here? But let's just say any failures that you maybe have experienced.
Well, so it was a few months back, and it was the first day Division I college coaches could call student athletes from the class of 22. And I really thought I was going to get a call that day, and I ended up not getting a call. And I consider that as like probably one of my failures because I really like, I worked myself up. I was like, oh, I'm getting a call today. It's going to be a good day. I'm getting a call, and then didn't really get a call. So I consider that a failure, but that was probably my biggest recruiting failure as of yet.
Got it.
But
So what can you tell? You're a junior, and obviously, I think it almost. I don't want to jinx anything, of course, but I think me knowing you and knowing your athletic ability and stuff from coaching you the past year, I think it's almost a a surety that you're going to be playing at the next level. Don't know where you're going to be playing, but I think it's almost without a doubt in my mind. What would you say? Going through that, I'm assuming it's probably a bit of a heartbreaking feeling to not get the call that you were, definitely expecting. what would you maybe suggest to a younger audience, from a mentality standpoint, how to handle those types of failures?
Put in more work. I put in more work. That's it. I mean, you don't get that call and you feel that failure and you're just like, shit, like, geez, what do I need to do? Like, in my mind, I'm like, what do I need to do to get that call? What do I need to do to get better? What are things that I need to do to play at the next level?
Right.
And after that, not like after I didn't get that call, I went straight to the weight room. I went straight to the field the next day, put in hours of work
Right.
because that's what I feel like I need to do to get one of those calls one day, you know?
Well, I think obviously the work ethic is, to me, I mean, just from hearing you, obviously there's passion behind your voice too. So I think I think you got definitely the Division I work ethic, if you ask me. I mean, that's straight out of like Kobe Bryant's playbook right there. Like you miss all these shots in a game. That night you're in the gym till 3 a.m, just
Oh,
working on the same move over and over, right? So um, maybe switch over to maybe a happier topic. Well, I mean, but to touch back on that real quick, because I did want to ask you a question about it. When you first, maybe the first couple calls you got from a college coach, were you speechless? Were you ever like lost for words? Were you ever so nervous that you couldn't even speak?
oh yeah, yeah. I was really nervous when I got a call. It'll pop up just like a random number. It wouldn't say anything, so I really had no idea.
Right.
And so when I first got a call, I don't remember. It was either Wayne State or I don't know. We'll just tell us the Wayne State story. So yeah, he
Yeah.
called me. I had no idea, and I answer. I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "Oh, what's up, Caleb? I'm coming to practice." And I'm like, who is this? Coming to practice tomorrow. He's like, "Oh, this is Coach Nowicki from Wayne State." I'm like, "Oh, geez, tomorrow." I'm
Right.
just like, "Geez," but I really was speechless. I was nervous to like
Mhm.
talk back and tell him like who I am and everything.
How
But
long? How long of these conversations when you get a phone call? How long are they usually?
it really depends on the coach. With Coach Nowicki from Wayne State, 30 to 45 minutes. We really just
Wow.
talk. Yeah, we talk a lot. He our relationship's really strong, and that's what I like. That's what I want in a coach that's recruiting me is
Oh,
a
definitely.
good relationship because I trust him. So, but we usually just talk about life, catching up on things, and like I'll be honest, it's not even some of the stuff we talk about isn't even about football. It feels like I'm talking like one of my best friends. Like
Right.
he's talking March Madness. He's talking about like his kids and where they go to school and everything, how their sports are doing and everything. Talks about the football practices, their spring practices and everything. So
How often are you getting phone calls, would you say?
I'd say probably one or two times every few weeks.
Okay. I mean, that to me, that sounds like, a pretty good rate of, getting
Oh
phone
yeah,
calls, man. I mean, granted, your accolades sort of speak for themselves as far as the type of player that people are getting, but
yeah.
that sounds pretty good to me. So you touched on this earlier, as far as being from Pinckney, a smaller area, smaller school. I mean, I would say now I'm Pinckney through and through, man. I love that. I love that
Yeah.
that school. Beautiful place, awesome people. But what would you say you do being a small town recruit that is trying to get attention from scouts? I think I'm kind of walking you into this one with 7-on-7 stuff, but
Yeah.
what can you do as a small recruit to set yourself apart?
Definitely 7-on-7. And definitely other showcases and camps. With last year, COVID like coming in and everything, I didn't get the chance to go to any of the summer camps. All the summer camps got canceled and everything. But this year I'm gonna be attending a lot of summer camps and showcases because the exposure is really high there. Lots of college scouts, and that's what you need from me coming from Pinckney, small town, small school.
Right.
You need stuff like that. So
Now, what would you say, your range of recruits, like not recruits, but like schools, you know, how like what's the percentage Division 1, Division 2, Division 3? I'm not trying to necessarily, you know, say, oh, this is your box, but like, you know, what percentages of schools have contacted you from the division standpoint?
I'd say they're all probably about equal. I've had a few Division 1, a few Division 2, and a few Division 3. I mean, I'd say it's pretty equal.
Have you looked into the NA? I'm sure you have, but NAIA schools?
Yeah, and like JUCO and all that. And I have coaches reaching out from JUCO a lot too,
Yeah.
3 or 4.
So, like serious schools recruiting you, how many would you say you have?
Serious schools, I'd say probably about 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good stuff to choose from. So what differentiates me? Like, let's say those are the 4 or 5 that come down with an offer, right? Like, when
Yeah.
all said and done. Not that they are, right? Because you got a whole nother year of some badass tape to come out with. So what differentiates? What do you look for? What have you done? You know, what would make you choose one school over another?
Um, my relationship with the coach. Um, I'd say I have a few strong relationships with coaches, college coaches right now. And out of the 5 that are seriously recruiting me, I'd say 3 of them I have a strong relationship with. And I think that it comes down to trust. See, I would choose someone I would trust than someone I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Wayne State's coach, I trust. So if I had to choose between Wayne State and another college, I would go with a better relationship that I have with the recruiting and their staff. So
Yeah, I think that that certainly makes sense to me and probably anybody that's watching this. So, what's some common advice that you've gotten from coaches like that? Maybe not even because I know that weights, you know, obviously hitting the weights and getting big is the one thing that you've probably heard the most. But maybe outside of football, even like, what's the best advice that coaches are giving you that you've maybe seen some overlap with? And besides grades, I know we touched on that too a little bit,
yeah,
but
I'd say definitely do another sport. 2 or 3 sport athletes are the best athletes, and that's what all the college coaches want are 2 and 3 sport athletes. It doesn't even matter what you play. If you play golf, they'll still like it. I mean, as of right now, I'm doing track and 7-on-7, hitting the weights and everything. But I say multiple sport athletes and eating well.
yeah.
They really like um, they like to talk about what you eat a lot, how much you eat.
Yeah.
So
All right. So, man, I think, man, we are blazing through these questions, but let's see. Have you utilized any of these recruiting services? You know, the NCSAs. I know you're on Huddle. That's like where a lot of your tape comes from. But I think
yeah,
that's a Pinckney thing, isn't it? Doesn't everybody at Pinckney use Huddle?
everyone uses Huddle. I mean, even like everyone in Michigan does.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. So
But that's like a high school. That like Pinckney High School is using Huddle, aren't they?
oh yeah.
So have like I mean like recruiting services. I don't know if Huddle does any type of recruiting stuff besides providing you with film, but like
Yeah.
you know what NCSA, right?
Yeah.
Have you utilized any of those types of services?
I haven't put any money into anything recruiting wise. I honestly think it's just a big scam,
Oh,
waste of money.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah. I don't think it does really anything for you. You got to make a name for yourself. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I see like NCSA and all these other random services contacts me. They're always trying to get me involved with
Right.
something, their program, whatever. I ignore it. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me, but yeah, I haven't put in any money to anything. So
Well, and it speaks to like, you know, you haven't utilized any of those services that claim to be, you know, so great, and yet
yeah,
you're getting 2, 3 phone calls every couple weeks, and you've already got, you know, a handful of schools on your serious radar. So, um, what what's your actual dream school?
Um, I'd say as a kid, my dream is always to has always been to play football at Michigan State. Um, my dad went there, my sister went there. But that I think that's been changing ever since I've been growing up. Um, I feel like North Carolina, UNC has been a really like big dream school to me. I'd say UNC and Michigan State have been my two schools that I really like want to go to.
Now,
So
now obviously, a scholarship is what you're gunning for. So with these bigger Division I schools, I mean, obviously you see the people, the 5 stars, the 4 stars that are going to places like that. I know that that's not the only people that they're recruiting, but is walk on ever an option that you think about?
I've been thinking about it a lot just in case as like a backup plan. If
Yeah.
I don't get a scholarship here, would I be able or would I want to walk on here?
Mhm.
Um, I'm honestly not sure. I really don't know. I think that if I didn't get an opportunity to play at the next level scholarship wise, that I would try to go walk on somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
right,
that's going to be something that you're going to have to do, though. I really don't. I think you're going to be able to make it happen. But that being said, I mean, it is important. The whole point of real shot recruiting is get as many avenues as possible to get to the next level, because plenty of stories of kids who walk on somewhere,
yeah,
stick it out for 1 or 2 years, get a scholarship, become a scholarship athlete, um,
yeah.
and that's the dream right there for a lot of people. So definitely, that would be an option for anybody watching. But I think we got a lot of good stuff here, man. I mean, I think you speak really well to, and this isn't a recruiting interview or anything, but I think you speak really well to your strengths and to the things that you have been working on here. Obviously, very passionate about it. You wouldn't be doing this if you weren't. So, um, what would you say? I mean, I know that maybe you're an expert in your own recruiting path. So, what would you say is like the one piece of advice that you would leave with anybody watching? I mean, I know plenty of kids in that Pinckney football program, basketball program that have aspirations to play at the next level. I've had people reach out and say, get so and so to the next level. If I need all the help to get him to the next level, him or her to the next level. So what would you say is like the one piece of advice you would give to anybody that watches that is like, I need some help?
Don't put your head down. I mean, don't put your head down at any point. Keep your head up. There's control what you can control and do the best that you can do at all times because I mean, you only got 4 years of high school and I mean, you got to use them wisely, especially in sports. You're trying to get recruited. You can't dwell on something that's happened in the past. Pick your head up and keep working and keep trying to get to that point. Trust your coaches, trust your teammates, and get where like put your heart on something and get there because it could happen. So
Well, couldn't have said it better myself. Caleb, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate you. Thanks for working with me. I know you're in Florida right now, kicking it. You're still doing this with me, man. I think that speaks a lot to how serious you are about this. But Caleb, thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So we'll cut it there. I think that was a good one, man. That was
Perfect.
awesome. Uh,